Today, I welcome the announcement of the Secretary of State in the House of Commons that an independent statutory public inquiry will be established into the murder of my husband, Patrick Finucane. After 35 years of campaigning for such an inquiry, I believe this announcement represents a significant step forward for my family in our fight to uncover all of the circumstances behind Pat's murder. It has been a long journey to get to the point where the establishment of an independent public inquiry has finally become a reality. I look forward to having the opportunity to participate in a statutory inquiry and expose publicly the whole truth behind the murder of my husband. This has always been the objective of the campaign that my family and I have pursued for the last 35 years. We have only ever been concerned with uncovering the truth. It is this that has kept us going. It is the thing that has been missing all these years. We did not believe that his murder was simply the work of gunmen who killed him. We had no confidence that police investigations would ever bring those truly responsible to justice. We were not satisfied with private, limited reviews from which we were excluded. We could not and did not accept the assurances of previous British governments that they were anxious to set the record straight, because they were never prepared to do so in public. An independent statutory public inquiry is and was the only way to bring the whole truth behind the murder of Pat Finucane into the light of day. The journey to this point is not one that my family and I have had to endure alone. Indeed, we would never have succeeded without the assistance and support and encouragement of so many people over the years. I could not begin to thank them all by name here today. So many people all over the world were willing to give generously of their time and their talent again and again. I want to record my heartfelt thanks and gratitude to each and every one of them. We would not be here today without them. However, I would like to single out one person, and that is Peter Mann. Peter was my husband's business friend and partner throughout Pat's all too short legal career. He has been a source of unending strength and resilience. I cannot thank him enough for what he has done for my family, or indeed the entire legal team that has represented us so fearlessly and brilliantly in our fight for public inquiry. Most of all, I believe this inquiry can be a watershed moment in the difficult subject of legacy in this part of our island. If a public inquiry into the murder of Pat Finucane can finally publicly examine all of the collusion that plagued our society for so many years, then there is hope that the real process of healing can begin. The murder of Pat Finucane is the last remaining Weston Park case. It is high time it was properly investigated, publicly examined, and finally resolved. I believe that my family deserve this after so many years. Pat Finucane deserves this after so many years. Society as a whole deserves this after so many years. And after 35 years of cover-up, it is time for truth.
I have to say, I hear the term preferential treatment, and if you can indulge me on this, it's very difficult to square that with the experience that my family have been through for over 35 years. First of all, the state targeted and set in motion events that meant my father was murdered in front of all of us as we had our dinner. the term collusion was dismissed, not just dismissed when I was growing up, but to utter those words, you were viewed in a certain light. And to be quite frank about it, it was dangerous at times to make allegations of collusion against the state in the aftermath of my father's murder. Every single bit of progress we've had as a family has had to be fought for. It's never been handed to us. We've had to fight in courts, domestic and international. My mother has not only had to deal with being a widow and raising 3 young children, but she's had to travel the world to gain support, which we were lucky enough to have. And every single bit of progress over a painful 35 and a half years has been hard fought. And I would be very slow to describe that as preferential treatment. We were given a commitment nearly 20 years ago now that if a judge of international standing felt that there should be an inquiry, then the relevant government would have that inquiry. The Irish government lived up to their commitment. The British government lived up to their commitment in all other cases, bar one, and that was my father's murder. And we have had to fight tooth and nail every step of the way, at times in the face of being insulted by people within the British government and outside of the British government. So I think you could forgive me and my family for saying that today is not something that we look at as preferential treatment. And I will also say that throughout 35 years, it began with my mum and has carried on through all of us. We have always been clear that truth and justice applies to every single person who was unfortunate enough to be hit by our conflict in our past, and that is without partiality, without any equivocation. We have been consistent in that. So any other family that continues to fight for truth and justice will have our support, and we know what it's like when the system is put in place to frustrate you and prevent you from getting answers. But what I've always believed, and it's a personal view, is that when I look at other families that get success, if that's the right word, and we've had examples of that over previous years through civil cases, judicial reviews, and particularly the inquest system, not least to mention the Bloody Sunday families. When I see other families having worked tirelessly for decades, getting the answers that they have fought for, that's given us a boost. That has inspired me, and that's made sure that in those dark days when you don't think you're going to be sitting here on a day like today, that you keep going, even when it's difficult. So that is how I would respond to that, and I think more importantly, people can make their own minds up as to how they think the Finucane family have been treated.